There's a lot of really conflicting things on the chart from the long term. We are at a point, actually, when you're looking at the long term, the weekly RSI, we're at a point where we're about to break the weekly RSI down trend line. And if we do, historically, that means the bottom is in. But if we reject it here, if we reject the weekly RSI down trend line, historically, it means we have a 50% drop on the way. So yeah, those are two really big extremes. But I'm just telling you what the chart says. So we're going to be talking about all these signals, what could be happening next for Bitcoin, and what the best approach to the market would be right now from my perspective. All of this and more in today's video. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Svenson. Today is October 26th and Bitcoin is seeing a little bit of upside today. We touched about 21,000. Really not all too much going on here, but at least there's some kind of green, some kind of action. We've been seeing almost nothing recently, so I see a lot of buzz on social media today. And there's a possibility that if we do pump up to 25 and break, that could actually indicate a disbelief rally of some kind. But there's risks right now that I see in the charts. And something that's really important is the weekly RSI down trend line. Now, in the last video, we talked about the Bitcoin cycle map, and you guys can look at this for yourself. There's a lot of detail in there. But there's one really key indicator that has pretty much called every bottom, every bullish trend shift, which is the weekly RSI down trend line. Whenever we break above it, it indicates the next major long-term uptrend, right? And we're really close, guys. We're really close, but there's risks here because if we don't break above it, it could result in a 50% drop. And why do I say that? If you go back to 2013, the last major rejection on the weekly RSI, guys, this was a 50% drop in price that resulted from that rejection right there. Go to 2018. We rejected the weekly RSI trend line. That was a 50% drop from here to there. All right, here we are. We're back, guys. We are back once again. What is it going to be? The bulls better pray that we get a breakout here. Because if we do, that might actually confirm that 17.5K was the bottom. But if we reject, well, historically, that means we get a 50% drop in price, which would send us to about $10,000. $10,000 Bitcoin, guys, is the result historically of a rejection of the weekly RSI. Now, another thing that I've noticed about Bitcoin bottoms and the macro lows is that when you come in and you get the bottom, obviously at the time, people don't think it's the bottom. People don't know it's the bottom at the time. And what I noticed about all these bottoms for Bitcoin is that you never reach the low that comes in initially. Look, go over here to 2018. When we found that low at 3,100, we never retest that previous low. We create a higher low, right? Those two major macro lows there. So you hit the bottom and never really reach it again. And currently we're actually set up for that, where we hit the low, we came back, but didn't quite reach it. So we actually have a setup, just like all the other previous cycles. The only thing that's missing would be a break of this weekly RSI down trend line. So that's what's missing, guys. We need to get this break of the weekly RSI down trend line. And if we do confirm and we peak out above that, it doesn't mean that we're going to go to the moon instantly, but it would suggest that 17.5K was the bottom. Now, also keep in mind, when we get that bullish pivot, if we get it, right? Because again, if we get rejected, it's a 50% drop from here to 10,000. But if we do soon break out above this resistance line, what you'll see is that, it means that we actually end up going sideways. Look, we break out, but what do? We go sideways for a year. Sideways for a year in 2014, 2015. 2018, we break out. Little bit different. We kind of just ripped to the upside, but the stock market was very bullish back then. At that point, it was like bouncing up hard, and here we are again, guys. So if we break out, I mean, are we just going to go to the moon? I mean, probably not. I don't think that Bitcoin would just, you know, rip straight to the moon. I think it's more likely that we're actually going to be kind of going sideways for like almost a year, more or less. You know, it's not really the point to be super confident or super hype or, you know, don't really expect too much from the market at this point. Even if we get the historic bottom confirmation breakout of the weekly RSI downtrend, I mean, we're probably gonna be going sideways for a hell of a long time. So keep that in mind. It's the time, in my opinion, to average in. Don't be too confident in an opinion that it's the bottom when we need to go all in, or we're, you know, Bitcoin's going to 10K. I mean, I just think that at this point in the trend, it makes sense to be a buyer. Like, I think we can all agree that right now in the trend, after a 75% drop, we should probably be erring on the side of buying and not selling, right? It's probably more of a time to be a buyer. And the risk of like selling here to buy back at 10,000, I think the risk is way too high, because we could just easily bottom here and bounce. So I don't want to be caught with just completely empty bags. I don't think anyone would want to be caught with completely empty bags if we bounced here. If we did break out of the weekly RSI downtrend line, which, you know, that's my point. I think partial accumulation at these levels is a good idea. But understanding the risks that if we reject the weekly RSI trend line, that can result in a 50% drop, where you would get much better prices to buy. But I mean, you know, no one has a crystal ball. Right now, the stock market is pointed up, so Bitcoin has a shot of following to the upside. I suppose it's possible. And I think a lot of people that, you know, if you're not accumulating at all, at or around or below 20K, if we were to get a significant rally, I think a lot of people would be very uncomfortable not having filled their bags at all. So that's why my argument is just partial accumulation, averaging in, but not being too confident in anything. I don't think there's room to be confident in any direction. The general risk right now, well, generally there's macroeconomic risk, and there's still room for downside. So just be careful. But these are good areas of value to accumulate, in my opinion. And in terms of targets, where are we going next? I don't really care all too much. I'm just looking at the indicators. I just want to see what Bitcoin does with this weekly RSI. And it's going to be really clear. If we get some kind of major rejection soon, and next week we're going down, I mean, we should be ready for a 50% drop. But until then, I'll give Bitcoin a chance to break this resistance and maybe give some sort of potential confirmation that we have found the bottom. My mind's open. I'm not going to be too biased or too locked in on any particular idea. I'll just see how this plays out. But that's how I see things right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Smash the like and subscribe. And also, I noticed that BitGet sponsored Messi recently, the soccer player. And this is the exchange I've been using recently. And I do have a link below that can give you up to $4,000 in trading bonuses that you can trade with by using that link below. So if you're interested in trying out a new exchange, check out BitGet. Links are below. Also, follow me on Twitter if you guys want more frequent updates. I'm posting here a lot. So Twitter is the best place to get frequent updates. When things are boring, I'm kind of just tweeting all the time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you all in the next one.